to week 2 of Fresh for Youth. I really hope that you enjoyed the first week, last week, where we made the pumpkin muffin bars and the fudgesicles. Yum. This week, we're going to be making yogurt parfait and these yummy fruit and vegetable kebabs with pieces of tofu on it. So, if you have not already, make sure that you're filling out the pre-survey online so we can know how our program's doing, how we can alter it to make it an even better program for you. Also, if you haven't already, complete the media release form so when you send in your pictures week after week, we're able to post them for everyone to see. We can see the different variations and learn from each other. And that sounds quite wonderful. I hope you are taking some pictures to send to me and send to the other group members as well. So before we do begin, by making these kebabs and the yogurt parfait, we always got to do one thing first. Can you remember what that is? Yes, it's to wash our hands. We got to make sure they're clean, right? Hand washing is one of the most important things. It helps prevent sickness, the transfer of sickness, right? It keeps us safe and others safe. So let's go ahead, let's go wash our hands before we can get into these great recipes this week.
How were those pictures? Weren't they awesome? Did you get to see yours? Did you notice any? Well, I'm glad I'm able to share those with you.
Welcome. So we're about to make fruit and vegetable kebabs. This is a great treat to go for in the summertime when it's hot and you're using the barbecue outside. You can always ask your parents to place it on the barbecue for you, or you could make it in the oven. So I'm going to show you kind of two ways how to make it, but regardless, it's a great treat to make anyways. So I've got most of my ingredients here. Got some pineapple. We're going to put tofu on it. So this is a vegetarian source of protein. It's made from soy. It's also high in calcium. So this one is packed in calcium sulfate. So I can get calcium and protein from it. They also have mushrooms here. So I picked up button mushrooms since they're easy to place on a kebab stick. You got the barbecue sauce, which we're going to use with the tofu, onion, pepper, and then we have honey, a piece of lemon, as well as cinnamon that we're going to make a little glaze that we're going to put on top of it once we're all done. So to start off with, we're going to start with just the tofu first off. I'm going to open it up. I'm just going to move some of my things to the side so I can get to that tofu there. Just going to cut a little piece to kind of open it. I guess I didn't cut enough. So let me see if I can just get a little bit more. Oops. And grab my scissors. Should have thought of that in the first place, but sometimes things take a little time. So I just cut a piece out. Then I'm going to get the tofu out. You'll see that there's a little bit of liquid in it. Like I said, if that liquid contains calcium, such as calcium phosphate of this one, it's going to have a source of calcium within it, which is great if you don't eat meat because milk has high amounts of calcium and you might miss out on that, so you can get it in tofu. So I'm going to cut it into basically 1-inch cubes that are going to be easy to kind of put on the kebabs. And remember, we want to use our knife skills properly. So when we're using the knife, we want to take our thumb and our index finger and put it on the side of the knife with the other fingers right underneath holding the blade. This will give us the most stability. So as you can see, I have little pieces. Tofu is pretty easy to chop up. You can even do it with a bread and butter knife. So you don't need anything fancy to really cut it up. Just getting my pieces. Cubes in there. Alright, so I have all my pieces done. And as you can see, there's a tofu. And I take my barbecue sauce, so it doesn't matter what barbecue sauce you have. If you have a favorite at home, feel free to use that. I'm just going to pour it over it to make sure that it touches every piece of the tofu. And I'm just going to mix it in. So this is really going to marinate the tofu, because in and of itself, tofu really doesn't have a flavor. So this will give it a little bit of a flavor. And you want this to sit for about 10 minutes. So I don't know if you can see right there. I got it all marinated. I'm going to put this off to the side for about 10 minutes. And then I'll be able to bake it. So I'm going to bake it so that it gets nice and hard and crisp on the side before we actually barbecue it or roast it in our ovens. And when you're purchasing tofu, you want to make sure that you look for extra firm if you're looking for the kabobs one. Because the extra firm is really going to be hard, and it's more similar to chicken. If you go for a silken, it's going to be too soft. Even if you go for a medium firm, it's going to be soft as well. So while I wait for that to marinate, I'm actually going to cut up some of my vegetables and my fruit that I have here. I'm going to start with this pineapple. It is starting to get little black spots on it. I did pick it up the other day. I believe it was Saturday night, and now today is Wednesday. So maybe I waited too long to cut it, but I wanted to show you guys how to cut it. So normally I like to cut off the top, just like that. And then I cut off the bottom. When you're looking for pineapple, what you normally want to look for is a little bit of yellow at the bottom. You don't want it all to be green. Normally I like to smell it, but with all the COVID procedures and wearing the mask, it's hard to smell it in the store. So look for a little bit of green, and also be careful. Sometimes when it's really ripe, it'll start to kind of get a little bit mold or green here. So you want to see the yellow. If you see the mold and green, it might be a little too ripe. So try to avoid those. And then when you get it at home, you could put it on the counter for about a day or two, and then it should be ready to cut up. This one smells actually pretty good. So once I cut off the head and the bottom, I'm now going to cut it right in half. And so then I can kind of deal with the sides. So what I'm going to do, because I want little cube pieces to go on the kebab stick, is I'm going to then cut off the outer parts. And remember, you always want a stable surface. So you don't want to put it on its side where it's wiggling, because then you can accidentally cut yourself. So you want to make sure you put on a flat, stable surface. If it's not stable, you can always cut to make that stable point and then start cutting. So as you can see, just cutting off the outer layer. And actually it looks pretty good inside. I'm quite surprised. I thought it would be a little bit soft or squishy, but this one doesn't look too bad. So I'm actually quite pleased with that. Now I'm just gonna cut it straight down. And once I cut it straight down, I'm gonna be able to kind of make those little cubes about the same size as a tofu. So about 1 inch. You can make them a little bigger if you choose, a little smaller. You just don't want them to break when you put them on the kebab. So I'm just going to put some of my finished pieces in here. And I think I'll only probably need about a half of a pineapple. So I'll save the other half for later. I'm not going to cut it right now. So I really like pineapple. I know there's always this big debate. Do you put fruit on pizza or not? I love pineapple on my pizza. What about you? Do you put fruit on your pizza? Are you having pineapple on your pizza? All right. So I got my pineapple bowl right here. So I'm just going to put it off to the side. Now I'm going to go with my red pepper. Don't worry, I've washed all my vegetables already. If you haven't, make sure that you do. I like to kind of cut mine in half and then peel it away. And then kind of use my hand to scoop out the middle. But there's many different methods to cutting different fruits, and whatever works for you and what you can do safely is the best way for you. It's okay that my method might not work for you. Just use your own method, what's most comfortable, and what you can do safely. So I'm doing these pieces right here that I can put on the kebab. Peppers are really high in vitamin C, so this is another source. I know some people always say, oh, have some oranges. You know, we're sick, have some oranges, but peppers are a great way to also have vitamin C, so don't knock it. I love munching on peppers, just plain by itself. They have a nice slight sweetness, not too sweet. It's really good. And then I have my onions. So they say onions make you cry. And I've heard all different methods on how to cut an onion so it doesn't make you cry. So when I start, I like to kind of cut off the top. So this makes it really easy to kind of peel it back. But before I actually peel it back, I like to cut it in half lengthwise. So then I have a stable area to cut from. So it's not rocking, it's not shaking. And then because I cut off that little tip, I can easily peel off the first layer, get that skin off. But remember, we want pieces that go on the kebab, so I'm probably just going to slice this twice lengthwise and then just turn my knife 90 degrees to get pieces like this. I'm going to try to keep them together. I know they easily like to separate, but let's see how I can do keeping them together. And then I'm just going to repeat on the other side. So like I was saying, some people say keep onions in the fridge. Have a sharp knife so that the juices don't squirt so it doesn't make you cry. There's all different methods, but I guess some individuals tend to have their eyes water more easily than others. I've experienced that within my own household where I can cut onions and not have watering eyes, but someone else cut them or I'm cutting them right there with them, no watering eyes, but someone else is sitting over there and their eyes are starting to itch. So I guess it kind of varies with everybody. So let's check the time and see how long it's been. It's almost been 10 minutes. So I'm still waiting for that to marinate. But what we definitely need to do, which I forgot to do, my oven heats up quick, which is nice, but not everyone's oven heats up as quick as mine. You want to preheat your oven. So anytime you are going to do anything that's going to be in the oven, you always want to set the temperature before you start messing with the ingredients. So what this does is it gives your oven enough time to be nice and hot and at that desired temperature when you're actually ready to put it in. All right, so like I said, mine, it heats up pretty quickly. So we're going to set it at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And I'm going to give it time to heat up. I got about 2 more minutes. And what I'm going to do after that 2 minutes is I will put the tofu on this baking pan. So this will help crisp up the sides, and it'll take about 20 minutes in the oven to do that. And that will give it a nice crisp look. Once that's done, we're going to put it on our sticks, and then we're going to be able to kind of thread it through, either put it on the barbecue, put it in the oven, whatever you have at home, that's okay. All right. And then my barbecue sticks, I know they're really, really long. I went to Dollar Tree, and this was the only one I found. So I guess I'm just gonna have to break it in half. So I'll break it in half once the tofu is done in the oven. It's been 10 minutes, so let's go put these on the tray. You want to evenly space them out so they all can heat evenly. Right? You don't want one to cook a little bit faster than the other. You want them to be all the same level of crispness, the same level of tenderness. Just gonna evenly spread them out. You can kind of see. You want to do that yourself too. If you see any spots where a lot are kind of in one spot. What I did is before I placed them on my baking pan, I put it on a sheet of parchment paper. So the parchment paper helps save my baking pan. It's easy to remove from. It's not going to stick. So make sure that you line your baking pan with parchment paper as well. And no, I mean, if you want to do this recipe, but you feel you want to do it quicker, you don't necessarily have to bake these. You can just marinate them in the barbecue sauce and then stick them on the sticks with the other ingredients. It's really up to you. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to place these in the oven. It did reach the temperature, so I'm really happy about that. And I'm going to set my timer for 20 minutes. So I'll set it for 20 minutes and I will see you soon. I can't wait. All right, so I was able to kind of make my kebab sticks a lot smaller, which is great since now they can fit in the oven and they can fit on my little grill. And the tofu is about done right now, so I'm going to take it out since it's been 20 minutes. Make sure that you always wear some form of oven glove or mitt on your hands to make sure you don't burn yourself. So I can see they're done here. They're a little bit firmer, not too firm. That works, it's just fine. And so now I'm actually going to start assembling this stick. So you can take your fruits, your vegetables, whatever you have. I did find I had some strawberries, so maybe next time I'll make some with strawberries. I can just cut the top off and then put it right through the strawberry lengthwise. So whatever else you think might work good with your kebab, go ahead and stick it right onto yours. So I'm just going to start assembling mine. So I'm going to start by putting it in through the side that has a little hole. It'll make it easier to kind of pierce it. I'm going to put some on without the tofu right now, just to give that some time to kind of warm up. And I notice my kebabs are really thick, so my mushroom is tending to kind of break apart. So maybe I'll leave my mushroom for last. I'm going to just assemble some sticks right now. And take your time as you put it on. You don't want to pierce yourself. Mine isn't really sharp, but still, there's always that chance. So you kind of want to be smart with it. And I think I'll try grabbing maybe a tofu here and there to kind of put on. Yep, they seem to be okay with my hands to hold. You maybe want to give it a few more minutes to cool down. Everyone's kind of different, the type of temperature that they can hold in their hands. So I've got some already. It's kind of different little patterns. Doesn't always have to be the same. Mix it up, whatever you like. Involve your whole household if you'd like to as well. That didn't stick. And make sure that you're doing this with clean hands. So when you were waiting, if you went to the bathroom or if you touched the garbage, you played a game, you touched your nose, maybe you're helping your parents maybe make some meat, really whatever you were doing, just make sure you do have your hands clean and washed. I'm just going to make a few little more kebabs. Like I said, I'm just kind of throwing them all on. No real pattern. Oh, that one broke. Yeah, so make sure you cut them big enough, or make sure you get a smaller stick than mine, because mine just tends to be breaking. All right. I got 7 right now, so I'll just do 8. So I'll throw 4 in the oven, and I'll do 4 on my grill. So when I throw it in the oven, it's still going to be at 350 degrees. So please, I hope you haven't turned off your oven. Keep it on, because you're going to use that same amount. I'm going to use the same baking pan. I'm just going to change the parchment paper on top. So that's going to help save some washing afterwards. And then if you throw it onto the grill, you just want it until the fruits, vegetables, until your stick is slightly charred. So you'll see a little bit of charring. You don't want too much. It'll get a nice little crispness. And then it'll be done. So it'll be a lot quicker than 15 to 20 minutes on the grill. All right. So I have my 8. Looks yummy. It smells yummy. I love pineapple. So I'm going to go ahead. And like I said, I'm just going to use the same baking pan. Just easily remove the top. Okay. I'm going to put this over here. And then I'm going to put a new sheet of parchment paper on. Remember, the pan is still hot, so you don't actually want to touch the pan with your hand. You want to make sure there's something in between. I'm going to place my 4 that's going in the oven right there, and then I'm going to pop it in the oven, same 350 degrees, and it's about 15 to 20 minutes. The other 4, I'm putting it in my small grill that I have right here. So yeah, don't do that. I'm going to spray it first with canola. So this is going to prevent it from sticking on the surface. And then I'm going to just place them on. I'll check it every few minutes or so, turn it as needed. So what I will use is tongs to turn it. And once I see it being slightly charred at the top, I'm going to then remove it and place the glaze on. So I will get back to you when they're both done and we can place the glaze on together, and then we can enjoy our meal. Now that the kebabs are in the oven and in my small grill, we're going to make the sauce that we're just going to glaze over. So I'm going to use a brush to kind of glaze it over the kebabs when they're done. So in order to make it, I have honey, I got lemon, and I got cinnamon. So I need about a 1/4 cup of honey. So honey is essentially sugar. It doesn't matter if you have white sugar, you have honey, they're all the same thing. Body's going to realize them all the same way. So we never want too much honey. That's why we're going to use a brush to just put a little bit on so we don't oversaturate it on the kebabs. Next, we're going to use 1 teaspoon of lemon juice. So I like to use fresh lemon, so I'm just going to squeeze it. Squeeze it until I get the teaspoon. I'm going to put it with the honey. And then after that, we're going to use a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. So I couldn't find my 1/4 teaspoon, but I did find my 1/8. So if you remember, 2 1/8 equals 1/4. So I'm just going to use 2 of these to get my 1/4 of a teaspoon. And then you can just mix it up. And when our kebabs are all done, we'll be able to glaze it on with either, like I use a brush. You can use a food brush. You can also just use a spoon and just make little drops on it. It's really up to you, and whatever you have lying around the house, go ahead, grab it, and then kind of use it to put on the kebab. Just make sure that whatever you do use, you use it for food and food only. Don't use a brush if you've used it before to paint. So my kebabs from the grill are done. I had to turn it over a couple times, and you can see the charring on them. All right. So I have them here. The ones in the oven are about done too. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to set it on broil. So I'm only going to set it for 1 to 2 minutes. I'm going to check frequently because with broil it can easily become charred and dark, and we don't want it to become burnt. So that's going to give it a nice dark look on the top, similar to what the grill does. Obviously it won't be a lines, but it will darken the outer layer. So I'm going to go do that right now. We'll wait the 1 to 2 minutes, and then we'll all be done with our kebab. Okay, so I have all my kebabs ready, and I can see there's a slight difference between the one I put in the oven and the ones that I put on the grill. It's much more just for appearance. There's no significant difference in taste. I got the glaze here, so I'm just gonna put a little bit over each, just a few dabs. Like I said, we don't want to put too much because honey is still sugar, right? So just a little for a little bit of taste. And that's that. There are kebabs. So go ahead, go try yours. Let me know how it goes. Send me an email, and I'll look forward to it. Send me your pictures too. So I really love pineapple. These are really good. I'm sure your sticks are much more full than mine, but I didn't want to take too much time doing it. But yeah, I definitely want to see your creation. So show me that. And I'm going to just get out for a second, eat this up, and I'll be right back. A quick and easy snack idea, which is fun for the whole family, is making some fruit and yogurt parfaits. They're one of my absolute favorite. So for this recipe, I'm going to use Fiber One as my source of granola. So to get in a little bit more fiber than regular granola and a lot less sugar. You can also use other high fiber cereals, or even consider things such as bran buds or sliced almonds or other nuts and seeds to put on top. I decided to use a plain coconut milk yogurt. Why? I love the flavor that coconut milk gives, but you can use any kind of yogurt that you choose. So maybe you want a little bit more protein, so you're going for a Greek yogurt, but like I said, today I will use a coconut yogurt. I had some frozen fruits, so there are strawberries and bananas, and I let it thaw a little bit so it's not as cold and gentle on my teeth. So those are some strawberries and bananas that are thawed. And then I also have some fresh blueberries. So before I start with this, I want to make sure that I wash my blueberries. So I'm going to go ahead and wash it right now. Alright, so to start with, you want to start with the base. So that would be your yogurt. So I'm just going to add some yogurt into my cup. Now with these, you can choose different colored fruit, and it'll make it a lot more colorful, a lot more enticing. And you always want to remember that we eat with our eyes. So whatever we do, we want to make sure that it looks good to get our appetites ready to ingest it. I'm going to add some blueberries on top. So as you can see, got some colorful blueberries, a little bit more yogurt. Thawed frozen fruit that I have. So you can use whatever fruit that you like. Maybe you want some raspberries. Maybe you want some blackberries. Go ahead and add that. Whatever you choose. I like to top off with a little bit more yogurt, just a little bit. And then to add the granola on top. So here we go. fruit and yogurt parfait. Let's give it a try, okay? And coconut really adds a little extra kick of flavor. And that's really good. I hope yours tastes as good too. Let us know. I want to see pictures. So I really hope that you liked making the barbecued kebabs this week, as well as the fruit and yogurt parfaits. I really love them both. I think they're great snacks and treats. One takes a little bit more time to make, and one is pretty quick and simple and can be made on a snap. So if you haven't already, send in your pictures. Send in your forms. Make sure you get that media release form completed so we can pick that up if you leave it at your doorstep next week. Or you could just email it to me, take a picture and email it to tasha.ruglis@ckchc.ca. So if you need my contact information again, just check your email. It's right down in the bottom. Yes, right after the message that I sent, there's a little signature, and that has my email in it. It has my phone number. So if you need to reach out, feel free to do so. So I'm so glad that you're happy to join us this week. And like I said, send those pictures in to make sure that you get your grocery box drop-off next week. So next week, we're going to be making a little pizza and a salad. So that can be a snack in and of itself, or you could put them together to make a little meal. It's really up to you. But for now, take care and see you next week.